right, everybody, welcome back to KCCP. We got through the bye week. We're going to talk about everything that happened during the bye week, plus we're going to talk about facing the Tennessee Titans, and that is a good football team, so we got a lot to talk about. We'll get right into it. First and foremost, if you're into that kind of thing, Vegas is favoring the Chiefs by 12.5, which is that's a lot. That's a big spread. So Vegas thinks this is not going to be a close game. I have questions. So the number one thing, man, is we don't really know yet whether we're going to face Malik Willis or Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is questionable. Malik Willis started his first game last week. He was 6 for 10 for like 55 yards passing and an interception. So not a fantastic outing for the young rookie. But make no mistake, Malik Willis out of Liberty is an athlete, man. Like, the dude can flat out fly, and he's got an arm on him too. But I know Ryan Tannehill has done some things against us. I know that, but I would much rather face Ryan Tannehill than Malik Willis. That being said, neither one of them are world beaters. It's just Malik Willis presents more problems for a defense than Ryan Tannehill. So that's why I say I would rather face Ryan Tannehill. We won't know for a little while yet. Let's hit injuries really quickly. Amani Hooker is questionable, their safety. He's been playing pretty well this year. Depending on who you talk to, I mean, he's up there. He's playing well. I would say above average. Ryan Tannehill is questionable with a leg injury. Deshaun Hand is on the IR. That's a big loss for them. He's a fantastic defensive tackle. And then Taylor Lewan, their big left tackle, is on IR as well. And then there's a couple of more rotational pieces. Weaver is on questionable status with the torso. We may or may not see him. He plays edge. Phillips at wide receiver leg, he's on the IR. We won't see him. And then I can't pronounce this dude's name, and honestly, he's a backup type of player, edge player. I'm not even gonna try it. Adini, yeah, I tried it. Sorry, guys. Anyway, apologize to anybody that is offended by that, man, but that dude's name is something else. And then for us, our injuries. Mike Dana is questionable with the leg. Frank Clark is suspended, so we're relatively healthy. I mean, we're super healthy, to be completely honest with you. So it will be interesting to find out whether we're going to see Malik Willis or Ryan Tannehill. But interesting thing to point out about the Tennessee Titans are, and I'm sure everybody knows they're a run team, but I'm not sure if people realize how much they run the ball. 52% of the time they're running the football. That's quite a lot. So, and then pass plays is 47.9%. Their EPA per run, though, is negative 0.14. That is not great, considering that the Kansas City Chiefs EPA per run, and we're not a run team, is negative 0.05. So we actually have a better EPA running the football than the Tennessee Titans. And then your EPA per pass for the Titans is negative 0.02, and ours is 0.26. So we're much better throwing the ball than they are, which is to be expected. Average snaps per offense per game, Titans 61.4 and Chiefs 68.1. So that's kind of your rundown there. I will go over the lineups and talk about guys to look out for. The Tennessee Titans, Kevin Byard, their safety. A lot of people are saying he's not having a great season. I disagree. I think the dude he's a phenomenal athlete and a great safety. I'd love to have Kevin Byard on the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's better than Juan Thornhill at the very least. So, but even so, you know, I think he could even be better than Justin Reed. That's a toss up. So he's at least as good as Justin Reed, I would say. And then probably not as athletic. Their middle linebacker, David Long, he's been playing very, very well. Zach Cunningham is a bit of an athlete at the linebacker position, 6'3", 230, runs a 4.67 40. So that guy, he's a little bit of an athlete. I always liked Zach Cunningham when he was down with the Texans, liked him when they drafted him. Amani Hooker has played very well, but like I said, we may or may not see him on Sunday. He was, of course, their 4th-round draft pick back in 2019, and he's played pretty well. He's actually played better than Kevin Byard. Christian Fulton, which was another one of their draft picks back in 2020, he was a 2nd-round pick. He was a guy that I liked coming out and wouldn't have minded the Chiefs taking because we definitely needed corner at the time. He's playing well, so he's a guy to watch out for, listen for. Bud Dupree is always a name to look out for. And then on the D-line, I want to point out T.R. Tart is playing very well this year. 6'2", 304. He's not a huge guy. He plays their nose tackle position, but he's not a two-gapping nose tackle. He's not one of those big freaking 340, 350 dudes. He's about 310. And then Jeffrey Simmons he plays the 5 technique for them, which is technically a defensive end. It's more of, they play a 3-4 system, so they really have 3 interior D linemen, and then the 2 edges are outside linebackers. So it's really a 5 front in all reality. Jeffrey Simmons, 6'4", 305, and he's been playing just out of his mind. He is their Chris Jones, if you would. And he's playing close to that level, to be honest. So that looks good. That's the guys on their defense to watch out for. Guys on their offense is a lot shorter list. Their defense is a really good unit. Their offense is not that great. So you've got Robert Woods. He's been around for a while, of course. He's not super fast. He was drafted back in 2013 out of USC. Robert Woods, of course, with the Rams, had a pretty good season last year on the way to the Super Bowl, and I think they just couldn't afford to keep him, and they kind of went in another direction there and brought in the dude from Chicago, and he's not playing the same way. He's not producing the same way that Robert Woods was for them in LA with the Rams. They got 2 pretty good offensive linemen up front with Ben Jones as their center. And then the right guard is also really good with Nate Davis. Then, of course, you can't talk about their offense without talking about Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, absolute monster, man. Absolute beast. But he's not young anymore. I mean, he's a big power back. You can't expect a guy like him to hold up forever. You just can't. And he's still playing fantastically this year. He has 166 carries, 757 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns, 4.6 yards a carry is actually tied for 20th in the league, believe it or not. So, but he has the most carries in the league, so he's getting a lot of work, which is to be expected. He doesn't do a ton in the passing game. He has 3 drops in the passing game. Yards per attempt, like I said, 4.6. He has a fumble this year. So that's kind of what's going on there. As far as what our offense is compared to what their defense is, we shouldn't have a problem. We frankly faced a lot better of a defense than the San Francisco 49ers, and we dropped 40 points on them. So I really feel like it shouldn't be a problem, man. And I think that's why the spread is what it is, because the Tennessee Titans just aren't very good on offense. Just a couple quick numbers. Yes, we're both 5-2 teams. Points scored for the Chiefs is 223. Points scored for the Tennessee Titans is 132. So we've scored almost 100 more points this season than them, just to put it in perspective. Now, their defense. Our defense has allowed 172 points. which is right around 17th in the league, tied for 17th in the league. Tennessee Titans have only allowed 138 points, so that's 5th in the league. So, and they also have a really, really good special teams unit. So we got to be careful on special teams. Our coverage units need to be careful, and then our return units need to be very, very careful. No turnovers. We can't afford any botched punts. We can't afford any kind of turnovers on our special teams units. We just can't afford it. And if that means Sky Moore needs to go sit down, then that's what it means. And that's like, I want to address that. I know I brought it up on some of my Facebook groups and stuff like that, and people got really upset with me and were like, he's a rookie and he needs to learn. Yeah, you can learn how to return punts during practice. And nobody said that just because we drafted Sky Moore that he has to be a punt returner. Not everybody is good at that. I think they're trying to force him into that wheelhouse because of his ability with the ball, and you know, making plays happen. But it doesn't seem to be his forte. And I think once Kadarius Toney is ready to go, and we may see him some in special teams roles, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw him returning punts on Sunday. And the Chiefs aren't going to come out and say that, man. I wouldn't telegraph who's going to be returning punts or kicks. There's no reason for that. But it wouldn't surprise me to see Kadarius Toney back there returning punts now, because Andy Reid has already said they are not in a rush to get him out there in the offense. They want him to feel comfortable. And I agree with that move. I think the Kadarius Toney trade was a preparation for the playoffs. It was a preparation for next time we see the Buffalo Bills. That's what it was. And of course, we had a huge trade deadline yesterday that we'll get into a little bit. I don't want to take up all your guys' time with other team talk, but it's all relevant to the Chiefs. So what I will talk about real quick with the trade deadline, let's just go ahead and start with some teams that we may or may not see in the playoffs. Okay, so number one, the team obviously that we just saw, the Christian McCaffrey trade, we may see them if we make it to the Super Bowl. I think that's a Super Bowl worthy team in the NFC. The NFC isn't strong this year. They're not good. But the teams that are good in the NFC are good. The Eagles, very good football team, and the San Francisco 49ers are a much better football team with Christian McCaffrey, and I know they're 4-4. But I think they're going to go on a little run right now because Christian McCaffrey looked fantastic against the Rams. So the other trade I want to talk about is the Roquan Smith trade to the Ravens. That's a big trade, and don't think that the Chiefs weren't in the back of their mind, because let's be clear, nobody's really talking about the Ravens-Chiefs matchup anymore because we've kind of silenced that, and the Bills kind of took that place. But remember, for a couple years, it was Chiefs-Ravens in the playoffs, and was Lamar going to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes? And I think eventually people just stopped talking about it because they couldn't get past this. So we have the opportunity to do that with the Bills, and I'll get to that. But right now, the Ravens haven't forgot about us. The Ravens are still putting a big target on us. They still want to beat us in the playoffs, and they went and got Roquan Smith to add to their defense, and that's a big upgrade for them. They traded away A.J. Klein, a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick, which I think is pretty cheap, man. And honestly, like, I wouldn't have minded adding Roquan Smith to our defense. I know we're pretty strong at linebacker, and I like all our young linebackers, but I would have been okay adding Roquan Smith. The next trade I'm going to talk about, Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins. Don't think that this didn't have a lot to do with both the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Dolphins know that they got to face both of those teams possibly in the playoffs, one or both. So they're going out to get some more pass rush. This is a great trade for them. And, you know, I mean, the Broncos got a lot in return. They got their running back Chase Edmonds. They got a 1st-round pick and a 4th-round pick. So they got a little bit of a haul out of Bradley Chubb. I get that. But Bradley Chubb is a great player, man. So overall, that's a good trade for the Dolphins. They're a win now team. They're 5-3 right now. They're getting ready to have to face Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. So just beware. The teams are thinking about having to face those two dudes. And that's why you're seeing these kind of moves in the AFC. The Chase Claypool trade doesn't have a ton to do with us, but it is Chase Claypool leaving the AFC and going to a team that's obviously not playoff ready. I mean, they could sneak in if they start playing really well. They're 3-5, and the NFC is terrible. So they could the Bears could sneak into the playoffs, but they won't be in the Super Bowl. That's a pipe dream. And in my opinion, the Steelers, they're not a playoff team. They're 2-6. It's a rebuilding year for them, and they've had issues with Chase Claypool for the last couple years. He was a guy I always wanted the Chiefs to go get because I think personally he's a move tight end. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. I think he could play the way we use Travis Kelce. I think he could match that, and if you can do that with two guys, I mean, he's just a mismatch. Whatever position you want to label him, it really doesn't matter. As long as you're using him the way that I'm envisioning, it really doesn't matter what you call the position. Chase Claypool is better than what the Steelers got out of him. So hopefully he goes on to have a good career there with Chicago and Justin Fields. So it looks like Chicago's actually ready to invest in building around Justin Fields. So that's good for them. This trade, I mean, if we see them, we'll see them in the Super Bowl, and they are worthy of that. The Vikings, the TJ Hawkinson trade, they added a nice piece there. So I'll say, and the price really wasn't bad. They got TJ Hawkinson, a 4th-round pick, and a conditional 4th-round pick the next year in exchange for giving up a 2nd this year and a 3rd next year for TJ Hawkinson, which I think they got a bargain because TJ's the real deal. That's a nice tight end. That's another guy I wouldn't have minded the Chiefs adding. I know we have tons of pieces on offense, and people are probably rolling their eyes a little bit. I am an offensive guy, so I'm always willing to add some more pieces on offense. But that's a good move for the Vikings, and if we see them, it'll definitely be in the Super Bowl. Kind of means that Irv Smith out of Alabama isn't what they wanted though, so. Which is typical for me. Like, I don't know why people keep drafting these guys out of the SEC so highly just because they're SEC players. You still have to watch the film and quit evaluating the talent that they're going against so highly, because these guys just aren't turning out in the league at a high rate. They're just not. Some of them, the elite guys out of the SEC, are obviously doing good things in the NFL, but it's not. All the stuff you hear about the SEC, like, oh, the SEC is it's the farm team for the NFL. Well, is it? Because most of the guys that break big aren't SEC guys. I'm just saying. Obviously they have their fair share because they're a Power 5 conference and they got some great teams in that conference. But I just think long story short is they're overvaluing guys out of the SEC, and they need to stop it. So Robert Quinn to the Eagles. Obviously, if we see them, it'll be the Super Bowl, and that team is stacked, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens with them. Jury's out on them. I think Jalen Hurts is having a fantastic season. The Eagles are having a fantastic season. I don't want to take anything away from them. They're 7-0, man. They're beating everybody that's put in front of them. I would just like to see them play some of the powerhouse teams from the AFC. I would like to see what they do with those teams. I want to see them play the Buffalo Bills. I want to see them play the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to see them play a whole bunch of teams that they haven't played, So maybe we'll come back to that. That's an interesting topic. Jacksonville went and got Calvin Ridley, which, he's suspended. It's a good move. I'm not going to talk about it very much. And then the Kadarius Toney trade. I think this is a great pickup for us. We give up a conditional 3rd-round pick, which is also a compensatory pick, which means it's really more like a 4th-round pick, guys. So when you hear 3rd-round pick, don't freak out. It's not a top 100 pick. It's not. If it wasn't a compensatory pick, that number would be into the 4th round. So it's really a 4th round pick and a 6th round pick for Kadarius Toney, which I think is dirt cheap for what he possibly will be. And honestly, he's cheap salary-wise too, man, and what he brings. If you haven't gone out and looked at some of his highlights, Damien will probably throw some stuff up here, I hope, when he edits. Just a couple video clips and stuff so you guys can see. The dude can move. His short area quickness is ridiculous. His change of direction is ridiculous. He's a little bit of a contortionist. Some of the stuff he did at Florida is absolutely obnoxious in a good way. And he just didn't work out in New York because a lot of people don't, frankly. New York's playing good football right now. They're 6-2. But they just weren't ever really happy with Kadarius Toney. A lot of that is his health. But a lot of that, I think, was the guys that he dealt with last year, you know, and this is a new regime for them and it's working out. So I think they're just kind of cleaning house a little bit. But for us to give up roughly a 100th pick and a 200th pick, right around in that general vicinity, for a guy that was a 1st rounder last year, it's dirt cheap, man. And if we hit big on that, that's a home run. And now we have another receiver that's under contract next year, which I think is the big deal. And to me, this move was about the playoffs as well. This move's, like I said earlier, this is about when we see the Buffalo Bills again. This is about when we see the Ravens. This isn't about right now. It's not about the Tennessee Titans. It's not even about next week. We may not see Kadarius Toney for 3-4 weeks, so don't get frustrated, man. They are doing what the Giants should have done with him. They're going to develop him. They're going to give him time. And they're going to make sure that once he hits the field, he's playing instinctually and playing fast because the kid is fast. He's a hell of an athlete. So the Buffalo Bills went out and they got better. They traded for Nyheim Hines from the Indianapolis Colts. And they traded Zach Moss away, which he just wasn't getting any play. And they gave a conditional 5th round pick for Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines is a little bit of a receiving back. He's a fast dude. This isn't like a home run or anything. It's going to ease the workload a little bit of Devin Singletary. And they're not going to have to force James Cook into critical 3rd down roles. So Nyheim Hines will be the 3rd down back. I don't think it's like a home run trade or anything. It's nothing to be freaked out about. I think they just wanted to shore up their running back room. And I think, they're like any other team. Running backs tend to get injured, so it's nice to have a nice stable of running backs. Jeff Wilson goes to the Miami Dolphins. So, that's cool, I guess. The Dolphins are trying to get better. He's a running back. He's a one-cut type running back. I'm not a big Jeff Wilson dude. Mainly because he fumbles, and I don't like running backs that fumble. I have no love for running backs that fumble. But it is what it is there. I mean, yeah, whatever. That's all I got to say about that one. James Robinson goes to the Jets. That's not a big deal for me either. I think that's just because they lost Breece Hall and they're trying to keep up their winning ways. The Jets turned the season around. They had a great draft. Breece Hall was beasting out. They're a 5-3 football team. They don't want to lose. They don't want to lose their momentum just because Breece Hall lost his season to an ACL injury, which is tragic, man. I'm hoping Breece Hall, when he does come back, is just as good as he ever was. The Robbie Anderson trade, it's whatever. Neither one of those teams are going to make the playoffs. The Cardinals just aren't anywhere near as good as they should be. Deion Jones goes to the Browns. I like the player. I like the trade for the Browns. I just don't think they're going to make the playoffs. So it is what it is. Maybe they still have hopes. I don't. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about them. The rest of these trades are kind of meh. Oh, I will talk about the Rashad Fenton trade because it's our guy. So we trade away Rashad Fenton for a conditional 7th round pick. Make no mistake, this is about salary. This is a salary move, and it's moving out $1.4 million in salary off of our books for no other reason than I think we're going to make a move in free agency, and I think that it's going to be for a defensive lineman. A lot of people have talked about Sue. That's a good possibility, man. Sheldon Richardson is still out there too, so we could see Sheldon Richardson, I believe. All right, guys. So I went ahead and checked on the list. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't talking out the side of my mouth there. So obviously Odell is still out there, and there's still people talking about Odell coming to the Chiefs. I just, with the recent trade for Kadarius Toney, I just don't think that's a thing anymore. I mean, it still could be. I saw an article out there that said whoever, if it's the Bills or the Chiefs that sign OBJ, that they will become the favorite for the AFC. The dude's not even going to be cleared until December. Like, I just don't know if he's going to make a big impact this year. Maybe he does. That's the bet. That's the bet that somebody's going to have to make. But it is a bet, and it is a gamble. So a couple guys that are available out there in free agency. Sheldon Richardson, I would like to see him or Ndamukong Suh. Those are kind of my two targets at this point. There's not a lot of other guys on this list that I have any desire in. I know some of you guys are clamoring for Eric Fisher. Stop it. The dude is washed. He wasn't that good when he was here. He wasn't that good when he was in his prime, man. Like, he's not. No. So stop. I do have a little bit of interest in Kevin King at cornerback. I think it would be a nice addition and a replacement for Rashad Fenton, even though I do believe we traded Rashad Fenton because the rookies were playing so well and they pretty much took his job. That's the way that reads to me. So anyway, man, that's kind of it for me. That's where I'm at, guys. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I know this is a relatively long video. I'll hit you up with some shorts throughout the week because I know those shorts are kind of popular. So I will keep hitting you up with those. Thank you for all the support for the channel. I appreciate it so much. Like, share, subscribe. Let's communicate. Let me know what you want me to know in the comments, man. I love communicating with you guys. Talk to you soon. Let's go, Chiefs. I'm still fly, let's go. It could all be worse, I could be a hater like you. It could all be worse. Clothes to make the man, but that poison's gonna chew you from the inside out. So right now, say it with your chest now, say it with your chest now.